Hello, everyone, and welcome to ROG Pulse. Twitch soundtrack hates me right now. It just ended my music abruptly again. I was like, oh, it's working today. Nice. Got 15 seconds in maybe, and then just silence. But hi, everyone. Hello, and welcome to ROG Pulse, the podcast where we dive into talk all things gaming, technology, and then we tend to have a targeted discussion on one thing, which today is going to be big displays, like 32 inches or larger, or ultra wide. What is better for you? Why you should buy one or the other? Because I'm currently in the market. I'm like, I think I'm ready to upgrade past 27 inches. I've never gone beyond.
Shocked that you have a 27-inch display. I have to go back to something you just said, Jake. You called this a podcast. We actually are a podcast now. You could subscribe to ROG Pulse on iTunes. But now I can't find the link.
Just search for ROG Pulse on iTunes. It should come up.
It did not. But that's because iTunes is just really kind of weird that way when you try to search for it on the web.
The way that it pulls our RSS feeds from all different kinds of places. I mean, RSS technology is...
I'm going to find it, and I'm going to put the link in the chat. I'm still trying to get it on Google Podcasts and some other of those platforms, but Spotify and whatnot, but it's happening. It's happening slowly. But y'all can subscribe.
We got it on YouTube, of course, as well. We are live on YouTube and Twitch as we speak. But this week, Lane, is this your first time in Pulse? I can't remember.
Yeah. This is my first Pulse.
Overdue. Well, Lane is a frequent member of our gaming streams, especially when we do shooters. We're going to be playing Star Citizen tomorrow. In fact, you excited?
I'm super. I haven't actually played in a couple weeks. I've been playing too much Infinite, so it's going to be good to get back in the verse.
I really want to. I really want to just play some Infinite tonight. I'm still debating.
There's no debate.
I need to, because I actually have some things I need to do, but I might just throw my responsibilities to the wind and play some Halo.
You have Game Pass. That sounds like the appropriate response.
Yeah. I'll just say it's for work.
Exactly. Market research.
That's not a bad idea. I could probably get away from the wife tonight if I did that. But I'll be honest, I'm a little under the weather. I just got back from travel to the Asus office in North America from what we did from PC DIY Day, which is something we did last Friday. It was a really cool event where we built 3 PCs live on stream in about 5 hours. Everything from a beginner's build, we did kind of a beginner's tough gaming build. Then we did a mini ITX that has a 3080, it has DDR5. It's a monstrous PC in the Z11. And then there was a full custom loop liquid cooled PC that was built. So if you missed that, check it out on YouTube. Check out the VOD here on Twitch, and check it out because there's actually a Gleam giveaway as well. And if you go to the stream and you watch it, you can find keywords that were announced throughout the stream, which can earn you up to 100 additional entries for a chance to win the tough PC that was built during that stream. So, oh, look at that. You found the iTunes link.
Found it.
I'm so proud of you.
Thanks for talking for me while I found it.
Very cool.
But yeah, that was a good stream. PC DIY Day was dope.
I will say 5 hours of bright lights and standing and walking around. It was tiring. It was
Jake's favorite thing.
Oh God.
That's what you were born for. Isn't that why you chose this career?
I like sitting when I do it. I actually complained so much to people afterwards. Like, I'm not cut out to be a stage host. I had never been a stage host before. I've always been like a desk host, like a panel host, like a podcast host where we sit and we deliberate on topics and we just kind of banter and go or commentate, whatever. I'm seated during that. That's my comfort place. And the other thing that really threw me off, this is just a random side tangent, is not being able to hear my own voice in my ears. Because we had an IFB, but I'm so accustomed to hearing my own voice when I do this kind of podcasting or commentary. Not having that, I felt like, I don't know. I'm like, there's real humans near me. This is weird. Put me in the digital space. It was fun. It was fun.
What do I do with my hands?
Dude, no, it wasn't my hands. It was my legs. Am I standing weird? Do I look normal? Is my posture bad? Like I was continually thinking through those train of thought.
Jake did do something valuable with his hands. He reached inside that mini ITX case and just bled all over the set.
I provided a blood sacrifice.
Cut his hand open.
There was a Moonlight white mouse plugged into it. I really should have brought it home because the braided cable was just covered in blood.
That's kind of badass, though.
Well,
like that's a new ROG look. White
mod my mod.
I dig it. Yeah, you could do a whole PC build themed around that.
I
like the last scene in The Last Jedi on the Salt Planet.
Oh, that would be cool. I'd love that. Yeah, blood sacrifice was given.
Yeah. Anyway, gaming news.
Gaming news. What do you want to start with?
We sort of mentioned Halo Infinite, but
we
did.
Did.
Big deal. So the multiplayer's been out for a week or two now, right? But the campaign started yesterday. Jake, tell us, how is the campaign?
So I've only played like an hour-ish. Really, really not too far in. But and it's kind of, I have to preface this with the fact that I haven't played maybe some of the newer Halos, right? The last Halo I played was Halo Reach. So I'm a little behind on any kind of storytelling they might have done. But I'm not too worried about it. They're basically they open up, they tell you that Cortana was bad. She's been deleted, maybe. And there's this other AI that is now gathering pieces of data. It feels very Halo. The villains are very bland, but they feel exactly the way they should for a Halo game. And it's beautiful. It's really gorgeous. And the gameplay is really fun.
Really pretty game.
It is.
Okay. I'm still not sure whether I'm going to find time for the campaign in my busy schedule of backlogged games, but I'm going to think about it.
I'm curious as to how long it'll be. I'm not expecting it to be very long, personally.
You don't look up games on howlongtobeat.com before you play them?
No.
Reviewers were saying if you didn't do all the open world side quest stuff, it's like 6 to 8 hours.
That's it.
So,
okay.
Very doable if you're just playing the missions for the sake of campaign missions. You can get through it in a pretty reasonable amount of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not bad. You could do it all on stream. You do it all on stream next week.
So I actually plan to, and just speaking of next week, we'll announce it here. We're doing I'm calling it for now, Republic of Giving. We're doing a charity week next Monday through Friday, where every day I'll be streaming, and we're going to try to raise money for Extra Life. Everything that you guys donate will help unlock giveaways. We're going to be giving away a lot of hardware, from peripherals to keyboards to maybe a GPU and maybe more than that even. So we're going to have a lot of cool giveaways. Plus, we're going to have digital giveaways like Games Planet vouchers throughout the stream. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be finishing that up on Halo should be done Monday or Tuesday, I think. But we're going to play a bunch of games. Co-op, more Star Citizen, Forza. I've been promising a Forza stream, or is it pronounced Forza? I always call it Forza. But
Forza. I think it's Forza.
Where's the T in that word?
Maybe it's an Italian thing. I don't know.
Maybe. Lot of fun stuff. One thing I read that there's a new power wash simulator that just added up to 6-player co-op. So I'm thinking, maybe we'll have to play some of that. Maybe lawnmower simulator.
Man,
that just dropped on Games Planet.
All of this, but they're also going to be redoing my floors next week.
No.
So it might be loud as heck in this house. I may have to stream from my in-laws. We'll see. I'll have to play it by ear.
Oh no.
Yeah. Brutal time to have all that happen.
Yeah, that's unlucky, but better to get it done than not. I'm actually thinking of Lawnmower Simulator. We can just kind of look at some of the recent Game Pass launches. Stardew Valley made it to Game Pass.
Wait, is Lawnmower Simulator on Game Pass?
It is. Lawn Mowing Simulator is a game on Game Pass. We're definitely going to stream it, and I'm going to kick
Stardew Valley
butt.
is new to Game Pass?
It is new to Game Pass, yep.
That's a nice big that's a big win.
It is. That game's on every platform, from Android, iOS, PC, Switch, and now it's on Game Pass.
Everything.
It's on everything.
And that is a everyone I know that plays it is totally addicted.
Yeah. It consumes my soul for a few weeks a year. And then I eventually step away. The Hunter Call of the Wild, that'll be fun for the memes. It's like a realistic hunting game. You got to walk around.
That was free on Epic last week. I have that as well.
Then some games I'm actually interested in. Mortal Shell. I was curious in playing that.
Mortal Shell. That's a Souls-like. I would probably hate myself because I would be so terrible at it. But it does look cool.
What else?
That was free on PS Plus too.
Yeah, it was. I just redeemed my PS5. Yep. Nice segue, Whitson. PlayStation is looking to create their own Game Pass rival. I think they're seeing that, we've kind of transitioned to this. We used to have Xbox Gold. We used to have PlayStation Plus, right? That's the equivalent. I'm not much of a console gamer.
Yes,
a
PlayStation
network or
Plus
something?
is the
It was a
multiplayer
paid
subscription.
for, yeah.
It still is. It's
yeah.
inexpensive. You get a couple games a month with it, but it's mostly for the multiplayer gaming.
Right. So I actually subscribe to that exclusively for the free games because I'm just like,
Yeah, me too.
it's like it's worth
Especially
it.
because you can get deals. You can get like $30 deals on it.
Yeah. And there's
and stack
there's some
them and
pretty good
just-
games.
Yeah.
But like PlayStation Now is a separate service they sell, which is their like game streaming service, and just kind of comparing
it's not
that.
just game streaming. It is similar to Game Pass, but it's a lot of the games are streaming only because they don't have backwards compatibility.
Older
But
generation games, yeah, are streaming
right.
only.
A lot of the PS4 games you can download and play on your console, so it's a little bit of both in the same way that Game Pass is, but the selection isn't quite as good, and
there's some
again,
good
the games
stuff.
are streaming only, so
Yeah, but
it's not quite the same.
I had it for a year and I just got rid of it because I didn't use it more than once. I tried streaming like the original God of War game on PlayStation, and like the input lag was pretty brutal. Granted, I was on Wi-Fi. If I was on Ethernet, probably would have been a bit better.
Yeah, you gotta get off Wi-Fi if you're gonna stream.
Yeah.
Although I have had good experiences on Wi-Fi, depending on the device and how close you are to the router, and
Right.
how good your router is, and what your house is made out of.
That's true.
GL Rods says, wondering how God of War is going to hit on PC. Actually, I believe this week they announced the minimum and recommended specs for God of War on PC.
And some of the features, I believe DLSS support,
Yeah.
et cetera, et
Wait,
cetera.
really?
It's going to be a good PC release. If you have not played the new God of War yet,
I mean, I've been
It
saying
sounds
this.
like-
wait for it.
It sounds like they're taking
Get
it
on PC.
pretty seriously.
Yeah, which is awesome.
I have to buy it again. I don't
I
buy
know.
games
I
twice. I don't do that, but
Basically
I'm gonna.
bought a PS4
Yeah.
for God of War and
Me, I
Spider-Man.
mean, same. That's what I bought my PS5 for primarily.
Technically, I actually bought it for work, but
I've never been
wanted
in the
it.
PlayStation ecosystem, so this is fantastic for me. This is my chance to get everything for
perfect.
$30 or $40 or $50 for the first time.
You never owned a PS2?
I mean,
even?
I've never had a PlayStation.
Wow.
I was Xbox
Interesting.
always.
God of War is straight up worth $50 in 2021. No question.
I think God of War is worth like $200. It's so much better than every other
probably
like
is.
single player game. It's so much better. Like not even close.
It's
That's the beauty of a story-driven single-player game. The value doesn't really decrease over time because the story is
does
the
not.
same. The graphics might be a little out of date, but that's only 2 years. There's no change.
But the thing is, honestly, because I just played it last year and I thought the graphics still looked incredible.
I thought it looked
If you can do
unbelievably
it on a
good.
PC, you'll be playing it at a higher frame rate. Because remember, a lot of consoles were targeting like 30 frames per second for their high-end graphics.
Sure.
So
I don't know
that's
if God of War has a remaster for PS5 or not. I'm not sure if that game.
it's not a remaster, but they did issue a patch where you could get 60 frames per second with the higher res. You could get 4K 60.
Okay.
The original version of God of War on the PS4 Pro, you could do 4K 60 or 1080p.
1080, yeah.
It wasn't 60. It was like 1080p, like 45. It kind of fluctuated.
Ouch.
So it wasn't quite ideal. But now with the PS5, they issued a patch that unlocked the 4K setting, so you can play it at 60 frames per second. Right after I finished the game too.
Cool.
It's really really annoying.
That
for
sucks.
me.
Yeah, but yeah, gorgeous game. I'll replay it for sure. We'll probably play it on this channel. Why not?
Yeah.
There was a question on YouTube if there's a giveaway coming. You do see a giveaway timer, but we're actually going to do marbles on stream. And the way you enter marbles on stream is you actually have to type in Twitch chat. So if you want to partake in the giveaway, the only way to enter is through Twitch chat because it's a virtual simulation of marbles, and that program works with Twitch, not YouTube. Beyond that, I'm trying to think. The giveaway is eligible to everyone. It's a $20 Games Planet voucher that can be used in any region. The Game Awards tonight, and we're not going to touch on the drama things on the side of the Game Awards because there certainly are, some things happening that maybe, but we started to hear some rumblings as to like what will or may be announced. One thing that has been confirmed that's going to be announced, and I'm so skeptical for good reason because this is probably one of the most polarizing franchises of all time. The new Sonic game is going to be announced. I don't know the last time I played a Sonic game. I don't know the last time somebody was excited about a Sonic game. I just remember them giving Shadow the Hedgehog a Glock and calling it a Sonic game, and just so many questions. Like,
So, were you a fan of the Sonic games on like Genesis and stuff back in the day?
Dude, Sonic Adventure on Dreamcast, loved it growing up. Like,
So if you haven't played a Sonic game in a while, I have to recommend that you go grab Sonic Generations.
That's the one that blends the third person. Yeah. I did play that. That was good. That was good.
That was like, for me, I didn't play a lot of the 3D Sonic games, but I played a lot of the Genesis games. Still love those. And Sonic Generations was like a great nostalgia hit / like modern take at the same time. If you haven't caught up on Sonic games, but you were a fan back then, go check it out.
Okay. I will. I'm interested to see what that might be. Have you guys been paying attention to the VGA news at all? You got any wants? Any big things you want to see announced?
I want a musical guest that's as good as Mick Gordon was a few years ago.
Okay.
That year they had Mick Gordon come on and play a song from the Doom soundtrack, and they had the drummer from one of my favorite heavy metal bands was with him, and it was just like an awesome surprise.
Well, I guess in that same vein, having a live Gregorian chant to celebrate Halo Infinite being back on the main stage would be nice.
That would be awesome.
That would actually be amazing.
I just like to leave the loading music on to get myself back in the mood.
It really doesn't. There's something about that music that's so iconic.
Guys, the three of us could do our own Gregorian chant right here, right now.
Nope, I actually have a sore throat.
I'm a little tone deaf.
I'm sick.
Sorry.
I actually do have a sore throat, so that sounds like a horrible idea right now.
Yeah. I do have one more gaming news thing before we move on.
Wait. I got one more thing about VGA.
Oh, sorry, go for it.
I want more Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy news. That's a game that it's a single player like open world Skyrim-y Harry Potter game, and like Warner Brothers has really been trying to build this IP out. It's one of the bigger IPs they own. They want to expand it. They've been failing, frankly. Like Fantastic Beasts, the movies are like pretty meh. My brother even worked on their mobile game. It's basically a Pokemon Go clone. And that they just killed it. It's gone. They deleted it. So like they're trying to figure out a way to build on Harry Potter. They're doing a
franchise to build out.
I know, but there's
the main thread
there's so much they could do with this world. Though they have a huge fan base, right? You think about some of the lore that exists from like previous eras, and this game is going to take place in an earlier timeline than the movies do, right? And I think that's the right way to approach this. You just kind of go into an earlier timeline. We know these wizards have been there for a lot, for however long. So, but I'm kind of hoping we get news on that. If we don't, they're actually doing this special event on January 1st on HBO, where it's like the cast is like reunited. It's kind of like a 20th year special. I don't know how many years it's been. It's been a lot.
That's making me feel old, but I think you're on the right track with that one. Yeah.
Yeah. It came out when I was in middle school, so 20 years sounds right. But anyways, yeah, I want to see news on that game.
I can get behind that. It's a really, the approach that they seem to be taking with that game seems like the right approach.
I agree. And it'd be cool to see them kind of figure out the combat and make it feel cool.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, but
I am.
It certainly is interesting. I am, however, a big Rocket League fan.
Oh.
And the new mobile game dropped, I think last week, maybe. And I'm always skeptical when I see a mobile game, especially from a big publisher. I'm like, is it going to be good? Is it going to be like just a microtransaction laden nonsense? This game's amazing, you guys. This Rocket League mobile game is so addicting. It feels like Rocket League. It's 2.5D, like it's a 2D game, but the graphics are 3D. And it's just like little 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 Rocket League matches on a 2D plane. But you have like the rocket booster and you have like jumps, and it has that perfect mix of like just tough enough that you're not always super accurate with your jumps and your boosts and stuff, but you can pull off some really cool moves if you get good enough. It's addicting. It might be my favorite mobile game. Like,
I'm looking it up right now. The art style looks interesting because you're kind of like in a fishbowl because of that 2D 3D mix.
Sorta, yeah. It's like a half pipe, kind of.
I'm interested
in terms of the I've been playing it on my ROG phone. Install it, play it. It's too much fun, guys. Anyone listening, go try it. It's everything a mobile game should be.
It's interesting they were able to make a a game with the same general idea, but not be dependent on
that's
3D.
really tough to do. And that it still feels like Rocket League. And they got the monetization down. It's all like you can buy cosmetics and stuff like that, but you also win cosmetics as you go through. It's you play online against other people. It's just really, really, really well done.
Great.
So go try it. It's available on iOS and Android.
I'm gonna play it tonight.
All right.
Just downloaded it. Okay, our timing for the segment is flawless because we just ended this segment.
Oh,
we're gonna do a
beautiful.
Marbles on Stream giveaway, and then we'll give out two keys right now. We'll give a key to the first place and the last place that crosses the line for Marbles on Stream. I like to keep it interesting here, and we can kind of roll into our tech segment while we do our Marbles giveaway, because why not? Why not? So, the first thing that I just want to talk about is I'm a lucky man. I got to see DDR5 in person when I was at PC DIY Day. I didn't know it existed. I thought it was a unicorn.
For some reason, when you said DDR5, I thought you were talking about a new Dance Dance Revolution game. Just because it came out of your mouth, that was like what I went to.
Yeah, fair. That's fair.
That's cool. Yeah, because you were at the PC DIY Day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I really want to get my hands on some to try it out.
I don't actually have marbles built into this scene. What am I doing? Amateur
Jake,
hour here.
what are you doing?
I thought it was built in. Oh, it's built in on the other scene. Okay. Hashtag production right now.
But even more exciting than that, I think the biggest tech news of the week that I will talk about while you set this up. The RTX 2060 is back. Back and better than ever, baby.
12 gigs.
Yes, 12 gigs of VRAM. We have our own version, the Asus Dual 2060 Evo. I believe there is also an OC edition, but I'm not positive on that. That is basically kind of the same as our old Evo. I believe it uses a slightly better chip than the original 2060. I think it's using like a 2060 Super chip, but it's got the dual axial tech fans. It's got this big honking 2.7 slot heatsink to keep things cool and quiet. If you are still trying to get your hands on a graphics card and you don't have the money for something super high end, the 2060 is still a great card in my opinion, especially when you factor in things like DLSS, making games more playable at high resolutions and refresh rates. It is not available just yet, but it will be soon. And I don't have final pricing on it yet either. But keep an eye out. I can link to our product page in the chat. Can
I just say that I'm really sad about one thing. For all the articles that I initially saw, all the initial coverage of this when I heard it was announced was great for crypto miners. I'm like, great. That's just what we need.
Well,
something that the crypto crowd is gonna flock to. I mean, there's a war, gamers and crypto.
It is. It's hard to know like how because there's so many different factors at play that are playing into this GPU shortage. It's hard to know what's to blame the most. It's like X% this and X% this and X% that, and it is brutal. But you know what? I think we'd have a problem even if it weren't for crypto.
Right. Well,
I think that's
I just want to
just drop the link in the chat.
Yeah, I just want to point out again, guys, that you have to type !play in Twitch. It does not work on YouTube. This is a program that only works with Twitch. And that is how you enter the giveaway. Give you guys about another minute. Twitch.tv/AsusROG.
Speaking of the 2060, of all of the cards to resurrect and try and alleviate the shortage, I'm glad it was the 2060.
The perfect card to do it.
It sits in a really good place. If you're targeting 1080p or 1440p resolution, like you said with DLSS, 1440p is totally attainable.
Even without DLSS, 1440p is attainable on most games. I had a 2060 Super. It was perfect for that, I thought.
Because NVIDIA could have gone back to like the 1660, done like a TI refresh, but then it wouldn't have had the same tensor cores. So
I think, I would have been really, 1660 would have made sense in terms of accessibility and stuff like that, but I think you're totally right. I think the tensor cores are a total game changer and I at this point will not buy a GPU without them, because it makes the GPU so much better in terms of longevity, because you're going to be able to play those games at higher resolutions and refresh rates for longer. That it's a must-have for me.
It's a huge value add for sure.
So yeah, I was also glad that they did the 2060. That was the perfect way to go.
I'm hoping the price point's decent, but
yeah, I mean, so I don't have final pricing information yet.
Yeah.
I don't expect miracles. We're still in a GPU shortage. I don't want to get people like, riled up and excited.
Yeah, I'm not expecting a $300 card.
Every
It's
little
gonna be
bit
more.
helps.
Yeah.
Every little bit helps, and every single GPU that we can put on shelves that is less than like $1,000 or whatever, I will take as a win.
And you would get it brand new with a warranty. So in this case, instead of buying it from somebody on eBay and not being warranted, at least from Asus, I can't speak for other manufacturers, it would be 3 years. So you've got that peace of mind that the card's going to be with you for the long term.
Yep. And is 1440p enough for an ultra-wide? Oh, we will get there, Mika.
Oh, that's coming.
I have thoughts. I'm on
That's a great question.
ultra-wide right now, and so is Lane. So
we'll touch.
Spoiler alert, yes.
Okay. Hanhon and Micah Gee.
Oh my gosh.
They are leaders.
It's down to 2.
It's not, well, there's more back there, but these two are.
Wow, everyone's going real slow.
Yeah,
they're
compared to
holding
these
hands
two.
all the way to the finish line there.
Okay, GG, Micah. You're gonna get first place,
And
but
inches.
last place will
Are we
also
waiting
get a
for last place
yeah,
now?
last
This
place
is gonna
will
take a
also
long
get a
time.
It is. Swan is just
We could
like
be here all day.
in the shadows with these homies. Wow.
We're round again.
The funny thing is they might be going too slow because the fire's coming.
Yeah, the fire's coming. Get a move on, guys.
Spawn is definitely gonna die at this rate.
Are you magnetic? What's going on
Yeah,
here?
he just really likes this thing.
That's cruel and unusual.
This is
What's
starting
happening
to get
him?
painful to watch.
Oh,
There we go.
he
There
made
we
it through.
go.
All right,
And
now,
he's safe.
the race is on though. Don't get yeeted.
Yeah.
I think they're okay.
Nah, the fire's coming. Oh no, the fire's coming pretty fast. Okay, keep moving.
I think he's okay. Probably going to spawn. But it isn't over till it's over.
Congratulations, Spawn.
Fire's here. It is going faster than him. Oh,
Oh
it's,
yeah,
part
that's
of the
catching up.
course. Spawn's been traveling pretty slowly.
oh no.
No, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it.
I'm sorry, Spawn, but I would like to see you catch fire just because that would be really suspenseful. No, you win.
It happened yesterday. Somebody got killed by the flames. At
Oh,
the end.
really?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
must have missed it.
Okay. Micah.
Very nice.
All right, we're gonna log the wins, but yeah, it's exciting that we at least have another glimmer of hope for everybody that's been just trying to get a fair price GPU. It's really tough. My friend actually we ran into this for the first time where we gamed together, but he finally hit a game where it's like your graphics card isn't gonna cut it. You need something.
He had a 700 series graphics card.
He's rocking a 780. It's a little bit old, right? But
it was a flagship.
it was once upon a time.
It's true.
It has gotten many miles, and it is honestly been fine up until recently. But I think he's gonna try to grab one of these.
Especially if you're playing at 1080, an old graphics card will take you through a lot, because I feel like we've reached kind of diminishing returns. Someone was talking about this earlier in the chat, that we've like almost reached diminishing returns in terms of graphical fidelity. So like if you upgrade your monitor, then you're going to need more power, or if you want higher refresh rate, you're going to need more power. But you can get by on 1080p gaming with a pretty old card still.
As long as you have enough of a VRAM buffer to keep up with the big texture packs, you're good.
Yeah, but you can always turn those texture things down too.
You can, but that's like
Not
the one
fun, but
thing
you can.
that would give you some extra life on the card.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of PC gaming.
The
Alter those
flexibility.
settings. I spent like 3 days tweaking all my Forza Horizon 5 settings because I'm playing it on a 1070 on that machine, and I got it like just perfect, like the perfect settings that get just slip by at 60 frames per second at 1440p without looking bad. Yeah, it's perfect. But it took me a while to figure it out. It's half the fun and the pain of PC gaming. Should we talk about monitors?
So I need you guys to vote on this. Although it looked like Spawn finished, it actually showed him die at the end. Although we didn't really see it, and it shows him as
see him die.
It shows did not finish in the official.
He definitely
tracking.
finished.
So we announced him as a winner. Are we gonna be? We're gonna be nice, and we're gonna give an extra key to Janus Q7 because I feel like we'd be robbing either of them because we announced Spawn as the winner because it looked like he finished, but the game is saying that he didn't. So Janus Q7, you're also gonna get a $20 Games Plan.
Can we go to the tape? Can we see the tape?
The photo finish.
It popped up on the right hand side. I saw it. Someone said it in chat that it showed the death at the end on the right hand side where that shows the death.
Oh, weird. That's fine. Extra key, I'm fine with that. We got to get rid of these keys anyway.
But Janus Q actually needs to type in chat to claim. So we're gonna
Janus.
So if you want it, Janus, you got to type in chat.
It's your moment.
Oh,
there
my
it is. There it
God.
is. There it is. He's
all
there.
Right.
All right, Janus Q7, you're also gonna get a $20 voucher. We'll send you the key after the stream today. Congrats.
Sweet. All right, guys.
That goes to the loser.
Gotta love giving awards to losers. We're not calling you losers. We're just saying you lost.
You lost. If you're not first, you're last.
All right, let's go to our main topic of the day, where we're going to talk about big displays versus ultra wide displays because, frankly,
because we're debating this every day.
Well, I've been talking a little bit about like, do I really want an ultra wide in my setup? Like lane linked this really nice 49-incher that we make, and I'm like, that would be pretty cool. That would, especially because I've been playing a lot of Star Citizen recently, where I've got this kind of sim settings where I've got flight sticks. I've got. Why is someone calling?
I have no idea.
That's one of my Discord groups. It's called Halo Chat, and it just decided to pop up
on my screen. I was like, I'm not getting.
I was like, Halo getting a. At least that wasn't one of your more embarrassing Discord chat rooms.
Yeah, no, it could have been worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been much worse. Anyways, yeah, so it's like, do I want an ultra wide and then Whitson's like, no, you don't want an ultra wide. You can't use ultra wide for streaming. I'm like, you're right. That's a good point.
You can't use ultra wide. If you're a streamer, you got to go 16:9.
And then Whitson found
it's just going to be a pain.
And then you found out that I only have a 27-incher.
So you can stream with an ultra wide. I've done it because I have an ultra wide.
Not ideal.
It's not even not ideal. You just have to play the game in 16:9.
Yeah.
Which is like, what's the point?
Yeah. There's no reason.
Wide.
Yeah, there's no reason.
I was surprised to hear that you had a 27-inch monitor.
And I use a glorious XG27UQ for my primary display. This is a 4K 144 hertz 27-inch 1 millisecond response time display.
Great monitor.
Really, a TR10. Like it really is a phenomenal display, and I've been using it for about 18 months, give or take. And it seems like it's time to mix it up here.
And you know what? And for if you're playing at 1440p or higher, 27 inches is a great size. Mm-hmm. I almost went to 27 inches on my desk, but I couldn't quite fit them, so I went with an ultra wide and a portrait monitor instead. Here's my take. Okay, and I'm excited for chat to disagree with me and tell me that I'm wrong. I have an ultra wide. I love my ultra wide. Ultra wides are great, but I think if you're using your computer purely for gaming, a 32-inch 16:9 monitor is perfection. Ideally at 4K. 1440p is going to look great too, but that is because it's such a big monitor. 1440p is a little bit lower pixel density. At 32 inches, it's going to be kind of like having a 1080p 24-inch monitor, the same pixel density as that if you're playing 1440p at 32 inches. But games are generally pretty forgiving of things like that as long as you have some decent anti-aliasing if you don't have the money to go 4K. If you have the money to go 4K, 32 inches, 4K, it's the perfect size because you can see everything on screen, but it feels, I don't like overusing this word, but immersive, right? It sucks you in. It fills up your field of view.
And I've got to play
in a way that ultra-wide does not, because ultra-wide is long and skinny.
I got to play devil's advocate here, just because that's my job. The only reason that you might want to play lower, and a big part of the reason why I don't have a 32-inch display, personally, yet at least, is because with competitive games, I find it easier to keep my everything in my field of view with a 27-inch display. So you'll often see 27-inch displays used for FPS and RTS games where you really want to be able to see everything, and it's almost a detriment to have that larger display.
100%.
But on the flip side, I've been playing more and more single player games where there's, I have a 3080 Ti, which I'm very fortunate for, and I want to push that, and I want to get these gorgeous 4K games. And it almost feels like overkill having a 27-inch display that's 4K, right? So I do see a lot of appeal and moving to a 32-inch display, and that's kind of why we're here today. But if your main focus on gaming, if you're playing Valorant, or you're playing CS:GO, you're playing Overwatch, whatever, and that's your thing, you might not want a 32-inch display. You might actually be better off with a 27-inch.
I would say if you're playing those and you're playing them competitively, go for our 24-inch 360 hertz display.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely.
That thing is the bomb for games like Overwatch and CS:GO and stuff. And again, like you said, a lot of the pros, they're using smaller displays so you can see everything on screen, and so you can 1080p is great resolution because you can get as many frames as humanly possible.
Those are also the only games that are going to actually get 360 FPS.
And you still need some beefy hardware to make that happen. Yeah. I could take advantage of 360 hertz with my 2060 Super, but I couldn't get all the way to 360 hertz. I was like in between 240, 360.
Which feels amazing.
I was shocked by.
It feels amazing, though.
It's incredible. And going back to 144 has been tough, but...
In chat, we see somebody says they found it difficult going from 24 to 27 in League of Legends. I'm a big MOBA guy myself. I did the same thing a few years ago, and it was a challenge, like just getting used to 27 inches. I find 27 to be the sweet spot for like the best of both, right? For single player and for, competitive games. But yeah, that's just something to consider that I wanted to put on the table.
Yep. 100%. I think you're absolutely right. I think what we're talking about today is if you're going to go big, do you want to go 32-inch 16:9, or do you want to go ultra wide,
or even bigger than 32? Because those options do exist,
and we'll get there. First thing, Mika asks if 2070 Super is enough for ultra wide 1440p. Yes, absolutely. I was playing 1440p ultra wide with a 2060 Super, and it was fine except for maybe Cyberpunk. Which is its own thing. I'm playing with a 3070 now, and it is better, but a 2070 Super can absolutely handle that.
Probably get 90 FPS, you think?
It really depends on the game.
It depends on the game.
Games you'll get around 60, 70. Some games you'll be able to hit 144 if you're playing like Overwatch and things like that.
So this was something that I had to do some mental math because when I went to the ultrawide, I have a 3440 by 1440 display. I had a 2070, not a Super. So I had to look and see what the resolution scaling was, and that resolution happens to be about 85% of 4K. So when you look at a game review, you can kind of put a line in between the 1440p results and the 4K results, and that's generally where your FPS is going to be. So if you're happy with that frame rate in that title, then yes, your 2070 Super will absolutely support that.
Yeah, that's a really good way to look at it for sure.
So let's start with 32 inches and 32-inch displays that we have here, because this is one of our newer displays. This is the RNG Swift PG32UQX. Mouthful, really rolls off the tongue. And you'll look at the price tag, $3,000, and you might be saying, why is this display so expensive? So Whitson, break it down for me. Why is this display $3,000, and what makes it worth $3,000?
Because this display is not your typical edge-lit PC monitor. This particular display, we have a couple monitors with this feature, but this is one of the newest ones and one of the best ones. This has not micro LED, Gebra, mini LED. These are often confused. Micro LED is kind of the OLED competitor, like Samsung's big the wall TV. That's not available for consumers yet. Mini LED, and not just mini LED, but specifically mini LED full array local dimming. So most monitors have just a line of LEDs at the edge of the display, and they shine up onto the display. Full array monitors and TVs have an array of LEDs that's like 2D, not just one line. It's got all along the entire plane of the display, and that allows them. Yeah, that's the sound that I make. That allows them to dim certain parts of the screen as you play. So if you're, in a dark scene with a bright spot in it, I like to use, for example, the opening scene of Shadow of the Tomb Raider is she's climbing through the cave and she gets to this hole where the sun is shining through on top of her. The dark parts of the cave, those backlights can dim down, so you get this really, really deep, dark feeling. And that one spot where the sun is shining through can be really bright because that mini LED in that zone can pump out some serious brightness. In the case of this monitor, I believe it can get all the way up to 1,400 nits of brightness. For reference, most monitors are like 300 to 500 nits of brightness across the whole screen. Without
getting too in depth, and maybe Lane can chime in here, what is the difference between, let's say, like mini LED is fairly new technology and OLED, right? What is the pros and cons of these two when we compare them?
Well, right
I'm
now,
gonna let you take that one, Whitson.
Right now, there are not a lot of OLED monitors. You could get like a big, 48-inch or maybe 42-inch OLED TV. There are rumors of 42-inch OLED TVs coming out. Maybe we'll see some OLED monitors this year. We'll see. But OLED, if you think about that explanation I just gave for mini LED, OLED basically oversimplified can do the exact same thing, but on a pixel level basis. So every single pixel can dim down to pure black. So you get an incredibly punchy image that you can still get something similar with mini LED, but because with mini LED you might have 512 individual zones that can dim down. On OLED you have like millions because every pixel is its own zone, right?
Okay, interesting.
The difference is that in gameplay is that on a mini LED, you may around that bright sun, the blacks around that area might not be as deep as they might be in the corner of the screen where there's not a bright spot. We call that blooming or haloing. But mini LED, those LEDs are so small that the blooming is a lot less obvious than it is on like a full array TV from a few years ago.
Knowledge gained.
Yeah, and it has mini LED can also get a lot brighter than OLED can at the moment. So cool. You get that really, really, really,
which is really important.
Highlight, that punchy image, and you get more detail in those highlights as well.
So brightness is critical, especially when we look at things like HDR, because that's typically where HDR tends to struggle. Is if you have an HDR display that doesn't have enough brightness, it might feel like it's struggling a little bit.
And an important thing to know is that brightness does two things. It creates a punchier image because you get this really bright spot on a dark display, and that makes it pop. But it's not just about like tearing your retinas. The more brightness a display has, the more detail it can show in those highlights, as opposed to just being like a white spot. You can see a white spot that gets really, really bright in the center and kind of has a gradient to it. That kind of stuff is important too, and that's really what HDR is all about as well. So that is why this particular monitor is so expensive. It has a huge, very powerful mini LED display capable of, here we go, almost more than 11,000 independent 1,100 independent mini LED zones.
1152 it says. That's crazy.
With display HDR 1400. That's mind-blowing. And if you look at this side by side with another 32-inch monitor, it's going to blow you away.
Yeah,
but it's also going to blow away your wallet.
It's basically the perfect shopping list for an HDR experience. Everything on here is the thing you don't have to sacrifice.
I think this is probably the best gaming monitor you can get right now, in my opinion. If money was no object and I was buying a monitor purely for gaming, that's the one I would buy. However, if money was an object, I would take a look at this other one that's $700. That's not going to have quite the same HDR punch because it doesn't have the mini LED backlight. But you get, you still have display HDR 60 or 600 certification. So it's still going to be good. You're still going to get a good HDR experience. You got a really, really fast response time from that fast IPS panel, 175 hertz. It's still a great display. Trust me. You'll love it.
Much better price point.
It's
Yeah.
also 1440p instead of 4K, which again, you get a little bit lower pixel density, but I do think games tend to be a little more forgiving of that. Most games, at least, if you have a good like anti-aliasing solution.
We also just got to talk about the elephant in the room that, you know, it's hard to have enough power in your machine, at least with the, you know, the lack of GPUs available to even game in 4K right now, right? So most people, I feel like 1440.
That's what DLSS is for.
That's true. It makes a big difference. But even still, if we're looking to hit these higher frame rates, if that's something that's more interesting to you, 175 hertz is going to be far more attainable at 1440p than at 4K. 4K, you're going to be maybe hitting 100, 90, 100 on the average game if you have a 3080. But you know, with DLSS, definitely makes the, you know, the potential to hit 144 possible with the other display. But not everybody's rocking a 3080, right? In fact, I'd say there's plenty of people that would love to be, just they're impossible to get.
I will also say, Pizza and Chill says, best monitor for Valorant, this one, 360 hertz.
Hands down. We were just talking about that
discussion.
Yeah, the PT259 QNR. There's actually two models that are almost identical. 360 hertz. We were just saying how, like, you really do want to be on a smaller display for an FPS, and you want to rock a frame rate, and response time is more important than resolution, hands down.
Before we move on to the ultra-wide discussion, I do think we should talk about even bigger displays, because there are some even bigger displays than 32 inches. We have a couple 43-inch displays, 43-inch gaming monitors that you can either stick on your desk and just have a whoa, holy crap experience. And I have used one of these, and it is awesome. Or it's also great if you want to, if you kind of want to use it like a gaming monitor / TV, if you're in like a dorm room or something like that and need like kind of a smaller TV with a lot of gaming features, it can work really well for that as well. It's really personal preference as to whether 43 inches is going to be too big for your desk space, and it depends on the games you play and things like that.
You could wall mount this bad boy if you wanted to.
Yeah, you absolutely could. In fact, I don't know, I gotta find it on we may actually have some photos. Some of our marketing images may actually show it mounted on the wall.
I know Eric had one of these. I don't know if he still does. I know he did, and I think he put it in his living room. I mean, there's a cool photo right here. Here's a living room situation with
there you go. So it's on
you've got an Xbox Series S. You know, this is console ready. I believe it's HDMI 2.1.
A couple, so we have a few of these. One of them is G-Sync and designed for PCs. Obviously, that one I don't believe has HDMI 2.1,
okay, so
but the XG43UQ has FreeSync Premium, and so that's designed to be used with the consoles. It has HDMI 2.1 as well.
And granted, these will all work with consoles. It's just some are going to be a little bit more. Are you
going to have HDMI 2.1 for the next gen consoles?
Right, for the high refresh rate.
And so these are sweet. So funny story, I actually had one of these at my house to review when I got the job at Asus.
That's really funny.
So I got the job and I was like, oh, I can't review this anymore. And I had to send it back or send it to someone else at IGN to review it, because once I got hired.
Yeah. No longer an unbiased review.
Sweet. Yeah. But unbiased or biased, it's awesome. I think it's a little bit too big for me personally.
Well, so I guess the other thing...
I know there are a lot of people that really, really... Like Jay's 2 Cents, I think, had a display like this at his desk, and he loves it.
I think if you have like a dedicated gaming system that isn't also like your productivity system, it makes more sense to have a big display like this. But like, as someone that always uses multiple display, I can't imagine trying to throw a 43-inch display and then having a second display with it. That just doesn't...
Why would you need a second display?
I mean, exactly.
Yeah,
you wouldn't.
Quadrants.
Because these are 4K too.
That's true.
This is basically 4 1080p displays in a grid. Like, that's what 4K is, right? Now, you bring up a great point, and I think this is where we can transition into the ultra-wide discussion. Productivity. If you're talking pure gaming, I think 32 inches is the way to go, or 43 inches if you want something really, really big and awesome.
What about the 65-incher?
Oh, that's a TV.
That's a TV.
That's a gaming monitor the size of a TV.
I don't even want to know what this thing costs.
I think it was around 4,000.
I don't think this is available anymore. Yeah, I could be wrong. So I say all this. I say 32 inches is the way to go, but here I am sitting with an ultra wide in front of me. Why is that? It's because I use this PC for more than gaming. And when you're talking about productivity and replacing like a dual monitor setup, ultra-wide is great because you do technically have more pixels. You can put a lot of windows side by side and still get that immersive experience for gaming because you're filling in more of your periphery on the sides. So I personally think that ultra-wide is great for a multi-purpose machine that's not just for gaming. If I were just gaming, I would go 32 inches. But ultra-wide is still awesome and still a huge step up. So I used to have dual 23-inch monitors, and ultra-wide was a huge step up from that because I basically have the same amount of pixels between my two monitors for work, but for gaming, I have way more. It's way more immersive than like a tiny 23-inch monitor.
Now,
and Lane has the Mac Daddy of ultra-wide displays.
Yes,
right?
That was a great gift to myself before a global pandemic. So before we get into mine, I just want to talk about what Jake has on the screen. So as far as terminology, this is a super ultra wide.
Super ultra wide.
Because it's is it 49 inch? Yeah, it's a 49 incher, which is I believe 32 by 9.
Actually, maybe some of these are 32 by 10. Some of ours.
This is 32 by 9.
Okay. Ultra wide is 21 by 9. So that would be your 34 and 35 inch monitors. So just if we use those terms interchangeably, we'll try not to, but ultra wide versus super ultra wide.
To even simplify it even more, I would say an ultra wide is like 1.5 normal monitors next to each other, and a super ultra wide is basically 2 full 16 by 9 monitors merged into one with no bezel in the middle.
This is literally two 1080p displays. 3040
no bezel.
by 1080 is two 1080p displays slapped together.
Yes. Yep.
So you're getting 1080p.
And I've used one of those too, and it is bonkers.
That's cool. So obviously they do have higher resolution for other displays, but this one in particular is a 1080p.
Yeah, they have 1440p versions of those, I believe. We have one that is 32 by 10, so it's actually a little bit taller, which is nice too. I really like that.
All right, so we've made it here. We've made it to the Mac Daddy.
The Mac Daddy.
This is the monitor that I want.
So we started the show with the PG32 UQ, which has a higher peak brightness. It's display HDR 1400. But in most comparable ways, this is the equivalent monitor in an ultra-wide format. It has full array local dimming, quantum dot, does not have mini LED. So with those two differences, they're very similar. I got this in 2019, serendipitously before we all started being at home a lot more often. And it's one of the best single PC upgrades I've ever made. I'm primarily a shooter player, FPS. I dabble in adventure games, and I've gotten into Star Citizen more recently. And for all of those titles, having the 21 by 9 aspect ratio is not only really well supported in Windows games, it really changes the experience. You get a little bit extra FOV on the side. I mean, guesstimating it's like 20 or 30% in most games.
Some like Overwatch actually shrink your FOV because they don't want to give ultra wide users a competitive advantage.
Interesting. Okay. For the most part, I've noticed. For the most part,
you get a wider FOV.
It looks pretty good. You know, in Halo Infinite, my visor's a little wider than your guys's.
Cheater. That is cool though.
And after having seen what a full array local dimming array can do versus an HDR monitor that doesn't have full array local dimming, that's a game changer. And this one had it. It still has it.
Yep. And so 2 things here. First of all, EUK007 says, I don't like curved monitors, still prefer the flat one. I got to tell you, curved TVs I thought were pretty dumb. Curved monitors, I'm super into, especially when you're talking about ultra wide, because you sit so close to it and because it's so wide. I think that gentle curve is actually really nice for keeping it in your field of view and for trying to keep your viewing angles of the edge of the display better.
Yes, because a VA panel has fairly limited viewing angles.
When you're looking at a VA panel, if you look at it off angle, the colors can shift a little bit. Usually not a problem when you're sitting directly in front of the display, but when they're really big like that, when you're looking at the edge of the display, you're actually looking at it on an angle. You're not looking at it straight on. When it's curved, you're looking at it closer to straight on. So that curve can actually help keep the colors accurate. It's not just a gimmick. It's actually worthwhile. The other thing is, Lane, I do think it's worth pointing out that the PG35 VQ is because it's a little bit older than the 32-inch monitor we were looking at. That's why it's a little bit less expensive. It has 512 zones instead of 1,100 some zones. But I will say that even 512 zones is still more than most TVs have.
Yeah,
and
wow.
This is it's a small monitor. Like you're not gonna look at 512 zones and be like, this sucks. Like it's gonna blow your mind for sure. Which is why it's still a $2,000 monitor.
So when this monitor came out, a lot was written about the blooming and how you could notice it when you were doing productivity tasks. When you have a black background or a gray background, or if Jake was scrolling on this web page, you would notice when his cursor goes over the black background. It bothered me for about 24 hours, and then you really can't tell.
You can also turn it off when you're on the desktop.
You can turn it off when you're on the desktop.
Local dimming when you're just sitting on the
desktop. Or you just don't. And I have never noticed the full array backlight in a game. Sometimes when I'm watching a movie with subtitles, it's a dark scene and there's a white subtitle. I can catch it. I can catch the
and there's
the
a hack
moving
for that.
Across. Is there?
Change your subtitles to either like a light gray or give them a little bit of transparency, which you can do in the settings of a lot of video players and I believe in Netflix. And because if the subtitles are pure white, it's going to output them at pure white with a super high brightness, and that's what's going to give you that bloom. But if you change the color of your subtitles to gray or give them transparency, they won't be quite as eye-searing, and you won't get as much blooming around them.
Oh, good to know.
That's your life hack for that.
Yeah, that's pro tip.
Yeah, that is the super pro tip. I honestly, even if there was an OLED monitor, I would probably still take this over OLED personally. I think objectively OLED is better, but there is a place for every single one of these monitors. It's really hard to say that any one of these isn't worth it depending on your own user situation. And also, let's pull out, we do have some ultra-wide monitors that are not $2,000.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we should show a few of those off to people who think we're just trying to hawk the most expensive monitors we can. Definitely not about that. Those are just the ones that I personally lust after. But we've got like the XG49 VQ, which is a 49-inch ultra wide that is $700, but you get a lot of the stuff you really, really need, right? You get 32 by, that's a 32 by 9 one.
This is the first one we looked at. Yeah.
Sorry.
This one's also super ultra wide though. This is this is 32 by 10, the 43 incher. 32 by 10. So
it might not be available anymore, but at the time when I got the 35 VQ, there was a 349Q, which is essentially the same monitor with 120 hertz refresh rate and no HDR.
I clicked on the wrong one. The one I wanted to talk about was the XG349C.
349.
And it doesn't look like that's in stock on our site, but you may still be able to find it around. That's a 21 by 9 IPS. I think it's that one was 180 hertz. This is the other monitor that I've been looking at. If I don't want to spend $2,000, but I want to upgrade, this one looks pretty sweet. It's IPS 1440p. It's a really good sweet spot. I will also say this is an ROG show. We talk about ROG products here, but the Asus Tough monitors out there are also fantastic bang for your buck. If you can't quite swing $800 for one of these monitors or higher, the Tough line has some really fantastic 16 by 9 and ultra wide monitors. You're not going to get quite the same super high refresh rates. It might just be like 120 or 144 hertz. You aren't going to get any of the mini LED or like high-end HDR options. So you lose some of those bells and whistles, but the Tough monitors still perform quite well, especially for the price. I have reviewed those as well in my life as a monitor reviewer, and they're also great. So we do have options for everyone. Even though technically,
one thing to mention as well when we're talking about less expensive monitors, the game has changed a little bit. 4 or 5 years ago, G-Sync used to be the technology to have. You wanted an NVIDIA card and a G-Sync module, and you'd have an amazing G-Sync experience.
And you still will. That's still the best experience.
And you still will. But within the last 12 to 18 months, G-Sync compatible has really opened up the ball game.
The game.
So with a huge range of graphics cards and a huge range of monitors that are G-Sync compatible, you get this really awesome tear-free experience when you're gaming without needing to pay the extra money to have the dedicated G-Sync hardware module.
And to for people to understand, to be clear, G-Sync compatible means it's a FreeSync monitor that works with NVIDIA cards, basically. It's not, it doesn't have the G-Sync chip, but it is G-Sync compatible FreeSync. And that's great. And that's what I use. That's what I have mostly always used. And it works really well now, for sure.
Well, you can see on screen, I brought us back to the PG32UQX, which is I think going to be the winner in my book. And I'm going to reach out to our head of displays and see if I can.
This is the one you're going to.
I'm going to request it. I mean, they might not have any. They have to have a demo sample because basically I can be treated like a tech reviewer, like you used to be a tech reviewer, and I'm like, hey, I need a new display for the stream, and they'll loan me one.
To be fair, I didn't get to keep any of the displays.
Oh yeah, I don't get to keep anything
I kept them
either.
for like a month.
Yeah, well,
Hopefully you'll get to keep it for a while.
Yeah, I'll get to keep it for at least 6 months.
I think this is the display to buy right now if you're purely gaming.
If it's
the ultra-wide version that Lane has, that's a little bit older but still absolutely incredible, will blow most monitors out of the water, is the one to get if you're ultra-wide. And you have a lot of money to burn. If you don't, we have a bevy of 32-inch and ultra-wide monitors to choose from, both ROG and TUF. You really can't go wrong. I have used a lot of these, and every Asus and TUF or ROG and TUF monitor I've used has been thumbs up.
So one idea before we wrap up.
Okay.
That I want to throw out there, because I had to use it to justify this purchase in my own head. It is a very expensive monitor. Is the life cycle of your display is a lot longer than most components in your system.
Yep.
And you can afford to treat yourself, splurge, however you want to justify it, because you're not going to have to change it in 2 years. You're not going to have to change it in 4 years. You're probably not going to have to change it in 6 years.
Especially one of those nice ones, that mini LED display. It's not going to get much better than that unless you're like hoping to get an OLED in the near future. That display is going to be top of the Lane's display. How old is that display now? A couple years old. It's still top of the line.
Yeah. It's 2 years. It's still top of the line.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I have to ask. I mean, now you're using this one, Lane. VA or IPS? Would you prefer if you were not using a local dimming display?
I would need more in-person experience with IPS, but I've read all of the complaints about VA, and I haven't really noticed them in my own personal use. That's
because you're using the highest end VA.
Probably.
You're using a very fast VA panel. It's a tough call for me. I ended up going VA, actually, and if you get a good VA panel, there are even good VA panels kind of on the budget mid-range end now. The only VA panel has deeper blacks than IPS, but the response times aren't quite as fast. So some of the cheaper ones can have some like smearing in dark scenes.
Yeah.
If you get a good one though, and even the ones in the TUF range are better than a lot of the VA panels that I've reviewed. Then you're fine. You can crank up the overdrive setting a little bit, and you'll be pretty set. But IPS is great especially if you're using really, really fast refresh rates. IPS is the better choice, but those black levels aren't quite as deep. Things look a little bit more washed out. It's kind of a
lots of pros and cons
to each of them. You got to choose which one you want. I love them both. It's a hard choice. It's super competitive gamers probably lean a little bit towards more IPS.
Yeah.
If you want something that's got that better contrast for those really like visually impressive first person experiences, maybe VA is a little bit more your style. But you could still go either way for both of those people.
So again, guys, you see Marbles on Stream is on the screen right now. This is something you have to join via Twitch chat. And I did see some questions about product availability. That's something that we can't really answer. People are asking, where can I buy a ROG phone? It varies country to country, and availability changes all the time. So unfortunately, we aren't the right people to ask. Just you're gonna have to check your retailers in your region. And I wish you the best of luck. But we live in a world where there are chip shortages for everything, and supply and availability.
Even the three of us have a hard time getting things.
Legitimately. It took me over a year and a half to get an ROG Phone 5. Right, we finally have them, and we're gonna be creating content with them, and I'm very thankful for that. But
I had to buy my own graphics card. I had to win the Newegg Shuffle to get a graphics card.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have a 3080 Ti. But yeah.
You actually needed one for your job.
It took me over a year to get a 3080 from launch. And I work for the company. I stream for the company, right? So that's the world we live in. I was on a 3070 for a while and a 2080 Ti for a while, and those held me over to the
Dude, the 2080 Ti is still a great card. The 2080 is still a great card. I actually think if you like end up having to resort to eBay or Craigslist, 2080 is the best bang for your buck you can get right now.
That's the thing. That's the thing, though, is 2080s are still they're selling really high right now. I think I have a 1080 that I looked at selling. I think it's like $450 or something. It's like crazy. I feel like I paid like $600. Yeah, maybe $500-$600. I don't know. Years ago, like 6 years ago or something. I don't even know. It's a crazy world we live in. Looks like we got quite a few entrants,
and that's why. While you're waiting for that GPU, you can just play Rocket League Sideswipe on your phone.
Through that.
Just as addicting. We need to do an episode soon about retro gaming on PC, Jake. Because what better time than now if you can't get a graphics card? I'm playing Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. I'm like just now starting to play the Castlevania games. And man, they hold up incredibly well. They don't feel dated at all. It's just as fun as I imagined it was when it first came out.
The last time I tried playing a retro game, I tried playing the Final Fantasy series, and this was back when I was a full-time streamer. I was planning on playing through every old Final Fantasy game because I don't remember them that well. None of them would work and I learned this after the fact. It's because I have a lot of third-party applications for controllers, like VJoy and stuff like that, and I could not use a controller on my PC no matter what I did because there was a conflict. So, anyways, some of them are ported pretty poorly too, but I think it's gotten better. I think they've patched a lot of them since then.
Yeah, they did, and some retro games are ported better than others, and that's something that we could talk about on a future episode. Yeah. But retro gaming is like. As someone who grew up on NES and Super Nintendo and all that stuff, retro gaming is near and dear to my heart. But because I was a young kid, I didn't play a lot of these games that maybe weren't like super age appropriate at the time or didn't appeal to me as a young kid. And I'm going back to play them now, and it's eye-opening. Some of these games are phenomenal.
A lot of memories with retro games. I actually, just speaking of retro games, and one thing I'll say, I got really excited. One of my favorite RPGs of all time is Chrono Cross from the PS1. It is, and
you've never played Chrono Trigger,
yeah,
right?
I'm gonna make a lot of people upset when I say that I've never played Chrono Trigger, but I love Chrono Cross. And they just, there's a crossover event where some mobile game has Chrono Cross characters. So to announce this crossover event, they redid in high quality the whole Chrono Cross opening theme and intro, which on top of that, there was a leaked list of like NVIDIA games that are getting remastered from Square, and Chrono Cross Remaster was one of the leaked games. So I'm really curious. I'm like, were they? Oh, Day Traders. Oh, you fell off. I thought you were gonna.
This is brutal.
This is. Oh, I thought Stingy was in. G-Bra, did you live? Oh my legend. You're not even moving though. But anyways, yeah, I got really excited when I heard that there might be a remaster coming, but then I found out that there's some crossover. I don't know what's happening. I'm excited regardless. The seeing the intro video again was really, really nice and really hit all those. Go ahead.
The intro video was done. It's just like kind of like an anime style video, right? Yeah, those characters were developed by Akira Toriyama.
Yes, they
the
were.
Same guy who did the Dragon Ball series. So yeah, I always get like, even though I never played those games, when I see those animated intros from the Chrono games, I get like a wave of nostalgia.
Cubertech! Congrats.
Cubertech.
All right, last place. Who's last? Asian Venom?
G-Bra, you were so close.
You were. War Wizened Gymnast. Or War Wizard, not Wizened. Can you imagine? I mean, if War Wizard Gymnast, you just make me think of the Dresden Files because he's like a battle mage. He's literally like a 6'4" wizard that works out a lot and isn't afraid to run and punch you in the face. Great book series. Asian Venom.
Oh, Asian Venom.
Oh, wait, who's gonna win? Fun Kevin, Asian Venom. Oh, Fun Kevin.
Come on. Come on.
Asian Venom got
Asian
too
Venom,
excited.
you went a little too fast at the end. You were so close to lose winning.
Cubertech, and we gotta confirm it.
Gotta make sure.
Fun Kevin XD. Congratulations, guys.
Well played.
I'm logging the wins now. Lane, do you miss being on a 16:9 display at all? You're both on ultra-wide.
Yep.
I'm the weird guy playing on standard.
No, I think
You're the weird guys.
In the larger scheme of things, we're the weird guys, but
So I absolutely do not. What I did miss was having some of my stuff on the side, so I ended up getting a side monitor. So now I have this gigantic display area for like Discord and Teams chat and whatnot. But as far as in-game, I've been pleasantly surprised with how supported 21:9 is. I've had really, really good experiences across a bunch of different developers. If I played Civilization or Dota, then the aspect ratio would probably be more of an issue. But for FPS and adventure games, the feeling of simulation and the extra field of view, it feels more natural. It feels like you're actually looking out of your own eyes versus a window into somebody else's world. It's kind of hard to describe until you just get into it. But
that's cool.
21:9 has been fantastic for me.
I think if I ever purchase an ultra wide, it would be for a sim rig where I have it like a separate setup completely. I have a simulation rig. I get a big ultra wide, probably the super ultra wide, whatever it's called, the 49-incher, right?
Yeah, 32:9.
I think that'd be perfect for a sim rig.
Yeah, because
I mean, look, why stop there? Get a VR headset and get like a,
that's
79-inch
that's
display.
the ideal. That's
the
the ideal,
metaverse.
but not every game is going to support VR yet, unfortunately. But that's that is the value play.
I watched a movie on my VR headset once. I watched Tron Legacy in 3D on the equivalent of like a 200-inch screen in VR. And it was awesome. Until about halfway through, my head started to hurt a little bit.
I was going to say, that sounds overwhelming. There's a lot of flashing lights.
It depends, because I'll play Beat Saber for 2-3 hours at a time and be fine. But if I'm actively moving around, I find my body posture is really weird in like a game like Alex, and then I get uncomfortable. But all right, guys. Well, this was one of the final episodes of Pulse of the Year. Next week is going to be all charity streaming, so we're going to be giving away hardware and just kind of jamming streams, trying to raise money for children's hospitals in North America. That's the goal. We're working with Extra Life, or we're just running an Extra Life campaign, really. And we're going to give away some mice, keyboards, and some other bigger stuff as well during the week.
Are we gonna eat our Taiwanese snacks on stream next week?
Oh, we should. We could have did that today. I thought about it.
We could have. I
but
didn't think about it.
I'm kind of sick, so I didn't want to eat anything. I'll be honest.
Be a nice snack break in between your
Next week.
marathon.
Yeah. You've got a lot of time to stream next week. We should eat some snacks.
We'll have some snacks.
Stream.
We got,
for those of you who weren't here the other day when we were talking about it, we Jake and I got a bunch of gear from the ROG headquarters, and they sent us some snacks. I generally don't like to eat things I can't read, but
I'm
that's
so
what makes it
pumped
fun.
for these shrimp chips. I don't know what they're gonna taste like, but I love shrimp, so
Those
just
are
like.
either going to be amazing or they're going to be super weird.
And it shows like noodles. This looks like yakisoba. And I mean, I'm sure.
I think they're like crispy noodles.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm ready to eat them. I can't wait.
I've had to use a lot of willpower not to open the bags. It's going to be great.
Oh, we got to make it full ASMR where I crunch into the mic. We'll do it. We'll go full meme lord status
Next
with
week.
it. Beyond that, we're gonna do a show kind of covering our favorite games of the year. In a couple weeks, yeah. And before we know it, it's gonna be the holidays. Got to check. Oh, you're right, Death Wish. I should make sure there's no eggs in these snacks. You're the MVP.
Oh,
I'm gonna use Google. I'm gonna use Google
How
Translate.
do you even know? Yeah,
Google Translate.
shoot.
Yeah. That would suck.
That would make for a great stream. Jake's got his EpiPen handy. He's like, shoot.
Right in the neck.
I don't even have an EpiPen because America's an apocalyptic wasteland where they cost so much money. Anyways, that's going to do it for us today, guys. GG's. We'll see you next time.